Tonight, the future of abortion rights uncertain as the U.S. Supreme Court hears arguments challenging Roe versus Wade.
Joining us now is UC Davis law professor Lisa Ikemoto. Professor, how at risk is Roe versus Wade really here after hearing today's arguments?
I think there's a serious risk to Roe versus Wade. The constitutional standard that's been in place for over half a century now says that a state cannot ban abortion until after the fetus is viable. And today, the question that was squarely before the court in the Mississippi law was whether or not a law that bans abortion from 15 weeks on could be upheld, could be determined to be valid. And it seemed that a majority of the justices seem willing to do that. It's less clear whether or not the court will expressly overturn Roe versus Wade when they issue the opinion.
Yeah, such an emotional topic, Professor. I'm going to play some sound from the governor right now, and I'll ask you a question on the back end of this. This is what the governor said after addressing abortion rights. Let's listen in.
And those that wish to turn around precedent over 50 years on a woman's right to choose for herself, her fate and future, that to me also needs to be protected. And so I am hopeful they'll reject the arguments made by the representative of Missouri.
So, Professor, if Roe v. Wade is overturned, what would happen here in California? Would abortion still be legal here?
Yes, absolutely. Abortion would still be legal in California. We have additional protections in this state, and some states have been moving to institute similar types of protections. So we have actually a Supreme Court decision issued before Roe versus Wade in 1969, which recognized a fundamental right to decide whether or not to have children. We also have constitutional amendment that was put into place that recognizes an express right of privacy that protects the right to abortion. That was put into place in 1972. And the legislature in California also passed a law that protects access to abortion as well, and the right.
So, Professor, do you think that California could ultimately become an abortion sanctuary state, much like we've seen in other states like Colorado, for example?
Yeah, I think to some extent it's already happening. The Guttmacher Institute, which does research on abortion access, among other things, did a study in late October and issued a report in early November that shows that of the people affected by SB 8, the Texas law that prohibits abortion and very early in pregnancy, has resulted in people at least who have the means to travel out of state, travel out of Texas to seek abortion. And certainly the states that immediately border Texas have received most of those people. But the study shows that people have traveled all over the United States, including California. So if Roe versus Wade is overturned, or if a 15-week ban is permitted without overturning Roe versus Wade, and states follow suit by banning early abortion, then certainly many more people across the United States will be seeking to travel.
All right, Doctor, thank you for your time. We appreciate it and your expertise on this matter.
Thank you.